Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, August 7th. We came into the session with a gap higher, but price was still within that prior day's range, trading near that prior day high, that upside level of interest here on ES, that 53.40 area acting as resistance. And so the main watch for today was to see how price would be trading versus this zone, whether or not buyers were going to be able to force a sort of breakout here and sustain price above that 53.40, show acceptance above that 53.40, or if this area was going to be rejected and the near-term range continued to trade. One of the things we discussed during the live stream was the fact that if you take a look at this recent structure, I found this to be pretty notable. Each break, starting from right here, where my cursor is, where the circle is, each break of the most recent lower high, or in this case, higher high. This first one is a lower high. This makes a higher high, pulls back. Right, price makes another higher high above that one, pulls back, right? And the theme continues. So one of the things I was thinking about this morning that we had discussed during the live stream was if price actually did crack the lows here, the session lows, then you'd likely have that scenario in play and to be watching for some of these downside levels of interest to be tested. Now we have price down into the near-term range low as well as this week's volume point of control. So that played out pretty nicely. What we want to see here is how price is going to respond to this area. Kind of that 52.20, 52.30 support zone, treating all of this right through here as an area of support. You can see how responsive price has been to the previous test down here. So we know there's definitely some interested buyers in this area. Do they continue to defend this level? We'll find out most likely either during the overnight session or during tomorrow's sesh. So that'll be the main watch into tomorrow. As of right now, the structure continues to hold. It is still a near-term range. If we take a look at the daily chart, we do just have price still within Monday's range. Zooming out a bit, we do now have that daily time frame volume point of control above. So still a lot of headwinds here, still a lot of areas that buyers will need to recover before this setup really stabilizes. Remember, one of the bigger picture scenarios that we're thinking about, or that I'm thinking about anyway, is potential for price to continue to trade just kind of in this fashion, right? Kind of near-term range trading, maybe a revisit of these lows here, but for the most part within Monday's session, that would kind of be one of the ideal scenarios that buyers would be wanting to see with this kind of structure. As far as what we're looking at on the intermediate term, still a downtrend, right? We have a series of lower highs at play that you can pretty easily see throughout the chart. So does this turn into that next lower high and price is going to trade the lows again and maybe even break the lows? That is yet to be seen, but we should get some good clues based on how price kind of responds to this downside area of support during tomorrow's sesh. So a couple of things to be looking at, largely going to be hinged on how price trades versus essentially this area right through here, right through there. So that's how I'll be looking at it for ES. As of right now, treating it like a range. So near-term range remains in play here. Price pushing fresh lows into the close. Let's jump over to NQ. Very similar type of structure, right? We wanted to see, can buyers break above this area of resistance and hold or not? Can price break above and show acceptance? That's always what we're looking for. Remember, if price breaks some upside level or even some area of support for that matter, and then quickly gets back within that range, it's not really considered a breakout. It's more, that would be more of like your spring setup, your up thrust. And we see that same type of setup develop on higher time frame charts, right? Most likely that's exactly what we have here on the 4 hour. So price kind of blips above those recent highs and then is just pushed right back into that range. See a 2 hour chart. Yeah, 2 hour paints it pretty nicely. So now we have price back into prior day low, back into that kind of near term range low. So what I'll be looking at tomorrow, again, depending on how active that overnight session is, it's been quite active lately. But what I'll be looking at is how price responds to this 18K level. 18K has been working nicely all week. Served as resistance through here, right? See a lot of action versus that 18K on Monday morning, and then that retest later, and then through here as well. Tuesday morning it holds. Tuesday evening it holds. Today there was still a 150 point bounce there. Now it looks like it may be failing. So 18K will be the primary watch on NQ tomorrow. If price is below 18K, we can likely expect some of these downside levels of interest to trade again, and potentially a retest of the lows as well. So it'll largely hinge on the reaction versus this near-term support on both ES and NQ from a technical perspective. Looking at the economic calendar, we do have unemployment claims tomorrow. It'll be more of a minor print, so I'm not expecting a huge amount of volatility during the pre-market session, at least in relation to that print. But overnight action lately has been pretty large. I mean, even this morning, coming into that regular trading hours open, we had a 2.5% move on NQ into an area of resistance, right? Now back into that weekly volume point of control and near-term support zone. So hope everyone had a good sesh. Some pretty nice action today, some decent setups even before 10 a.m. when we were still working with that breakout idea. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM in the Traders Think Tank. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll be live again. See you then.